Hey, what's up, everybody? The Villain Club here, coming back at you with another. I know it says V Club, but it's actually the Villain Club. All right. So, welcome to the club. If you want to come join me, it's about anything and everything. We talk about anything. We talk about everything. Nothing's off the table. It's unscripted. It's everything. All right. It's unconventional. It's just about kind of just talking about subject matter, and offer my thoughts and opinions about it. And I think a lot of us think alike, especially the stuff I talk about, especially the opinions that I give out on certain things that are happening. Anyhow, I know that the top of the matter in a lot of things right now is politics because we're in a presidential election right now, and so I'm going to bring to you the latest on what's been going on here. So the other day, I guess Kamala has done back-to-back town halls. So the first town hall was a setup, right? I covered that the other day, where they already had pre-recorded questions or I don't want to say screened because it wasn't screened. It was just questions that supposedly were already conjured up from the audience, but obviously it wasn't because people were asking, can we ask questions? Because that's what a town hall is for. So that's what happened there. It was a setup because the questions that were asked, she already kind of answered and knew in advance what she was going to say. But then she keeps going through the whole word salad stuff, right? That's the biggest criticism that she has had is the word salad stuff. So she did that with that town hall where they had Maria Shriver and all that stuff, um, you know, covering all that. And I covered that the other day, where it was already dead on arrival, right? Because when Maria Shriver was asked, "Can we ask questions?" and she said, "Oh no, no, we already have questions ahead of time here." And it's like, all right, so it was already dead on arrival. That's not even a town hall. That's just more of her doing her speech, right? Her talk. So this one was actually a little bit different. Now this is on the CNN town hall, and this time around, um, she finally was taking questions from the audience, and you could tell she just wasn't more word salad. You could tell she's unprepared because you can't prepare for ad libbing, right? So when you could tell she's flustered, she's just trying to come up with answers, and then even when she does answer, they're just fails at best. They're bad answers, and it's like wow, could have been spun another way possibly, but we'll take a look at a couple of these footages here. I'll use Sky News here because they're impartial. They're another country, all right. But even Sky News can see how bad America and politics and the government is. So let's take a
Kamala
look at what they
Harris's
say here.
streak of fumbled interviews and word salads continues after she bombed her CNN town hall with Anderson Cooper. The town hall was widely expected.
This is basically a softball. It's on CNN. You have Anderson Cooper. You have, a, pretty much a liberal network that supports, Democrats and liberals and all that. So it's a softball. I mean, you can't get any in an environment better than this, right? And still fail.
To be a softball interview, as has happened in the past. But Anderson Cooper did, in fact check the presidential nominee on occasion. Additionally, CNN hosts and panelists railed on Harris after the event, suggesting the network may be turning on her just 2 weeks out from the election.
All of a sudden.
In true Kamala style, she served up a confused word salad about parenting, despite never having children.
Is there something you can point to in your life, political life, or in your life in the last 4 years that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've
Yeah, like opening up the border wall. Never been to the border till like recently. Um, Signing off as the on the Inflation Reduction Act, probably done a lot of tie-breaking votes in favor of Democrats and terrible policy. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there that she could just go back and say, yeah, you know what, I learned I shouldn't have done that again.
I've made many mistakes. And they range from, if you've ever parented a child, you make lots of mistakes too. In my role as vice president, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well versed on issues, and I think that is very important.
Kind of like Biden, you have to be well versed, right? Meaning that you have to be given the information to comprehend and study in order to be well versed, right? Because you go into things such as interviews and all that, you want to be ready, you want to be scripted, and that way you could just go off of what you studied, right? I don't know. It's just bad.
It's a mistake not to be well versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
Commentator Matt Walsh slammed Harris for her answer, saying, multiple times in this town hall, Kamala claimed that she raised and parented children. Her stepkids were 20 and 15 when she married into the family. She did not raise children. She has no idea what raising a child actually means or entails.
Yeah, she never birthed a child.
And again, Kamala Harris gave a confused word salad answer when asked why she hadn't made any changes despite being in the White House for 4 years.
Some voters, though, might ask, you've been in the White House for 4 years, you were vice president, not the president, but why wasn't any of that done for the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that...
It's actually surprising coming from CNN that they would push with these kind of questions, the fact checking and kind of like, hey, how come you just weren't doing this already?
Need to be done, that haven't been done, but need to be done.
And on the issue of the border, Harris was fact-checked by Anderson Cooper after she attempted to blame Donald Trump for the border crisis again.
Under Donald Trump, you criticized the wall more than 50 times. You called it stupid, useless, and a medieval vanity project. Is a border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall. So remember, Donald Trump said Mexico would pay for it? Come on, they didn't. How much of that wall did he build? I think the last number I saw was about 2%. And then when it came time for him to do a photo op, you know where he did it? In the part of the wall that President Obama built.
But you're agreeing to a bill that would earmark.
The thing is, though, there was a lot of pushback from the government. It's called, what do you call that? It wasn't bipartisan, right? Democrats heavily slowed down the building of the wall when he had everything set up and ready and all that. But the layout of government then versus now, it's possible this time around, if Trump wins, that Republicans will dominate the House and the Senate, so they'll be able to kind of push things through and get things done more so in this presidency versus the prior one. The prior one, there was a lot of blockage coming from the Democrats and just slowing down a lot of shit that he couldn't get things done. See, the thing about what she does is she only gives out partial information, but leaves out a lot of explicit details about what really happened. And you could go look that up. You could just go look it up and see for yourself. It's been a fact. It's been all over media. It's been booked that it was just a different presidency at that time, and they did whatever they could to slow and block Trump down during his first presidency, and that's why the wall was barely built. All the supplies are there, but barely getting started because of Democrats.
$650 million to continue building that wall.
I
was
pledge
there.
that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill to further strengthen and secure our border. Yes, I am. And I'm going to work across the aisle to pass a comprehensive bill that deals with a broken immigration system.
Let's hear this again, all right? Because this is what we missed here, she said. Let me go back a little bit here. All right.
I pledge that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill to further strengthen and secure our border. Yes, I am. And I'm going to work across.
The bipartisan bill that she's talking about was the bill that she keeps saying that Trump called the guys and said, kill the bill, kill the bill. You know, it's a bad bill. Well, we're going to run on this, right? The thing about it is that that border bill was so bad. It only stemmed the flow. It didn't stop the flow of illegals coming in. And let's see, what else was there? I mean, I know the highlights of it because I read both proposals. The Republican side, which was the H.R. 2, that's left on Chuck Schumer's desk. I read that bill. I actually did a video covering both bills, both border bills. And this bipartisan border bill that she's talking about, I read both of them, all right? I read the details of both of them, all right? So the ones that stuck out to me was that the bipartisan bill that she supposedly said was bipartisan, by the way, I think it was like 8 Democrats didn't vote for that. It stemmed the flow. It didn't stop the flow. It limits it to 5,000 a day, right? Which can be smashed. And what's left out in detail is that executive orders can lift the limits based on emergency orders and whatever, right? That stuff. So that was kind of like a backdoor way of lifting limits when it was originally proposed, especially for Biden, because we know Biden, he was about letting them in, and he was about letting excuses fly to open it back up, especially if he won the presidency again. So that's why the limit was there, but executive order can lift those limits at any time. All right, and you can just give it and then it's done, right? So you have that. She talked about 1,500 Border Patrol agents additional that can help, whatever. Okay. Let's see what else is there. It stems the flow of drugs, because if it stems the flow of migrants, it stems the flow of drugs. Well, if you allow 0 to come in, then 0 drugs don't come in, all right? So let's see what else is there. I think, in a sense, it allows them, even though they're illegal, a pathway towards citizenship, which is going to be furthered into her plans on strengthening the border and, passing this additional new laws and stuff too, because it's a broken system, right? So give everybody that's here amnesty, and what it is that it's just a mess that the Democrats are just trying to just use that as an excuse, when all you had to do is just use the existing laws that were in place, right? The existing laws in place, well, they stay in Mexico, because when you're claiming asylum, you don't just come straight through. You have to stay in Mexico for a certain amount of time while they process you, vet you, all this stuff, go through extensive backgrounds. Then, okay, if it makes sense, they let you in, right, on asylum claims. But they're using the CBP app. They're using all these different excuses. They lifted all the executive orders that Trump had in place on day one, which Anderson does question here as well when I get to that. And you'll see that Democrats are not really about solutions. They're still part of the problem. Now, if you look at H.R. 2, the first border bill proposed, not that it stems the flow, it stopped the flow. It stops them all in Mexico. It allows for the border wall to be built. It hires an additional 2,000 to 3,000 more Border Patrol agents to fortify all that, right? It's doing things towards fixing the so-called, broken asylum, the broken immigration system, right? So why don't they look at that? All right. Let's see what else she said here. But I mean, I'm just saying though, if you just, you know, continue the existing laws that were in place, right? What does it mean to be illegal? All right. Is someone broke into your front door illegally? Do they just come in and just go into your food and it's free and take your money because it's free, right? It's the same thing. They're coming into the country, but you're giving them food, you're giving them money. And that's where things can change, right, with the Trump presidency, because he wants to really clamp down on so-called, what do you call it, sanctuary cities. I think it's a bunch of bullshit with sanctuary cities. They should get rid of that, though. Squash all these NGOs because they're part of the problem as well. And if you get rid of programs that gives illegals all these things on the house, you know how much that would really stop the flow of coming in? Well, it won't stop it. It'll slow the flow for sure. But with things like HR2, it would stop the flow. Therefore, it stops the drugs from coming in. All right. Here's an example. All right. I remember during COVID times, at this place, at a prison that I know of. All right. And they had visitors, right? So they had a little bit of problems with drugs and visitors, right? They come in. And other means, right? There's teachers, things like that come in to teach. So when COVID was around, all right, it stopped. They had to stop visiting. They had to stop teachers from coming in. So it really restricted the visitors that came in overall. And you know what happened with drugs? It went literally to zero. I mean, isn't that crazy how that is, right? If you stop certain things, how crazy things can just stop, right? Isn't that crazy? It's just insane, right? But yeah, so that's what happened though. So let's see what they say here.
Across the aisle to pass a comprehensive bill that deals with a broken immigration system. I think Jackson's question, part of it was to acknowledge that America has always had migration, but there needs to be a legal process for it.
So,
people have to earn it.
Okay, so she's saying all that. So then, if has to be a process and they have to earn it, then why are they coming in illegally? Why are they allowing it to happen?
And that's the point that I think is the most important point that can be made, which is we need a president who is grounded in common sense and practical outcomes. Like, let's just fix this thing. Let's just fix it. Why is there any ideological perspective on this? Let's just fix the problem.
To fix the problem, you're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I am not afraid of good ideas where they occurred.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense because he actually didn't do much of anything.
I mean, I'm just like, like dumbfounded. I mean, it's like, come on, really? It's like, do you hear what she's saying? All right. She's against the wall, blah blah blah, but in this bill there's $650 million earmarked for the wall. All right, and she still doesn't answer. Are you for the wall? All right, watch what she says.
I just talked about that wall, right? We just talked about it. He didn't actually do much of anything.
But you do want to build some wall.
I want to strengthen our border.
You know what that means? She doesn't want to build the wall because she's sidestepping the answers, and every time she has sidestepped the answers, that means we all know she is not for it, right? Do you want to build the wall? I am for fixing the problem. I am for whatever, right? It's the same thing. She's done that many times where she doesn't answer the question directly. She'll dodge it and say some nonsense bullshit that means she doesn't intend on doing it when she's asked a direct question and gives you some other lame brain answer.
Donald Trump then blasted her answer.
She said during that town hall she believes they've handled the border correctly. CNN pressed her on it. Would you have done anything different? Do you regret anything? And she said, quote, I think we did the right thing.
Wait a minute, that she's handled it correctly?
Correct.
She said that?
She said that. She said, quote, I think we did the right thing.
We allowed 21 million people in. We allowed 13,099 murderers. We allowed mental institutions from all over the world. If she said that, look, she's a grossly incompetent person. And if she said that, they had the worst border in history.
He also went on to publicly shame Kamala Harris's town hall during a rally in Tempe, Arizona.
She's so bad. I watched last night. I don't watch CNN often, it's fake news, but I watched last night. Oh, oops, their camera just went off. I watched last night, she did a town hall. Honestly, it was pathetic. It was pathetic. There's never been anything like that. We can't let it happen. We can't. That's why you have to get everyone saying how well we're doing. You still get out the people that haven't voted. Get out and vote. We can't take a chance. We can't take a chance on this disaster continuing because we won't have a country left if it does.
Surprisingly, both social media and mainstream media had similar reactions to the town hall, with even Kamala Harris's greatest allies slamming her performance.
Republicans would take another hour
This was
of Kamala
surprising
Harris.
too when I saw this
We'd
reaction.
just press play, let her keep going. We'd pay for another hour to let her keep not answering the questions. I think Anderson's asking her, well, why haven't you done it? You've been there for 4 years. Why have you done any of this? And the word salad answer she gave to that was just mind-boggling. I mean, it's blown up the internet, her answer to that question. I think the things that are troubling for people were her responses to, Van said about what you're going to do to reduce costs when they asked her at the beginning. We're hurting economically. She said, I'm going to prosecute corporations. Right? That's not going to lower costs. How are you going to make things better for me? I'm going to prosecute people. Trump bad is not a message that's going to get her elected.
And even CNN's Jake Tapper and Dana Bash criticized her performance.
Focused a lot more on Donald Trump, I think it's fair to say, than she did on many specifics in terms of what she would do.
If her goal was to close the deal, they're not sure she did that.
Shit. She can't even close the border, so how can she close the deal? She didn't close the border, and she never closes nothing. I mean, it's all open.
Conservative commentator Piers Morgan also doubled down on the criticism, saying, I watched this whole town hall. It was terrible. Kamala just talks in endless word salad gibberish. When she loses, and she will, the Democrats are going to look so dumb for allowing her to coronate herself as a nominee without any proper contest.
And that's the bottom line right there, is that they just propped her up without running a primary, because I'm sure there was other candidates that were actually probably better suited than her to run for president, such as Shapiro out of Pennsylvania. Definitely not Tim Walz. And then, even having Shapiro as a running mate would have been better. But then I think he would have overshadowed her, and they didn't want that. That's why they got someone weak like Tim Walz to be her shadow rather than the person overshadowing her, because Shapiro would have made her look even more stupider than she already is.
Another unsuccessful media appearance is the last thing Kamala Harris needs this close to the election, says Sky News host Liz Storer.
We all know Harris is failing in the polls. It is a painful death to watch, but that doesn't mean it isn't very, very entertaining. Her latest appearance on the campaign trail was a town hall meeting on CNN. She had a big go at Donald Trump because he decided not to come to this one, and she made a big deal out of that. Of course, he'd simply decided not to come because A, he doesn't need to. He's doing very handsomely in the polls without it, and B, CNN CNN, not a friendly audience for the Trump campaign. You're not really going to win many CNN viewers over, are you? So he decided to save his time. She had the floor all to herself, and wasn't it entertaining? She literally took one question and took the opportunity to answer it by explaining why she wasn't going to be very quick or good at answering the questions, the whole purpose of a town hall.
So I may not be quick to have the answer as soon as you ask it about a specific policy issue sometimes, because I'm going to want to research it. I'm going to want to study it. I'm kind of a nerd sometimes, I confess.
Lady, nobody believes that you study anything. You don't even study your briefing notes. She was also asked, is she a religious person? Does she pray? And here was her answer just days after two guys were evicted from one of her rallies for shouting out, Jesus is Lord.
Do you pray every day?
I do pray every day. I do pray every day, sometimes twice a day.
Oh, yeah, she's so devout.
The disastrous town hall comes only hours after Kamala Harris shocked voters and commentators by comparing Donald Trump to dictator Adolf Hitler, with former acting U.S. Attorney General Matthew Whitaker saying this shows her desperation.
It just shows, that she's willing to take cheap political hits at Donald Trump. I mean, no one believes that Donald Trump is a fascist, because I tell you what, he was a president of the United States for 4 years and really took no action that would suggest that he wants to lead us to something like Mussolini's Italy. So, I think that is just a cheap political slur that Kamala Harris is trying to throw against President.
I'm moving on. Let me check. I want to check one more thing here. Then, come on.
Now, Vice President Kamala Harris struggled to defend her border record at a CNN town hall. Watch.
2022, 2023, there were record border crossings. Your administration took hundreds of executive actions. It didn't stem the flow. Numbers kept going up. Finally, in 2024, just in June, 3 weeks before the first presidential debate with Joe Biden, you institute executive actions that had a dramatic impact. Really shut.
You know what's funny about that is executive action. And Joe said, we got to pass this bipartisan bill because it's a must, because I can't do nothing. I'm powerless to do anything, right? Even though Trump put up executive orders back then, which Joe removed. And then when they were trying to push hard to push this bill, which nobody fell for, and then all of a sudden Joe put up executive action to stop the flow of migrants coming at the border. Isn't that crazy?
Shut down people crossing over. Why didn't your administration do that in 2022, 2023?
First of all, you're exactly right, Anderson. And as of today, we have cut the flow of immigration by over half. In fact, the numbers I saw most recently, illegal immigration
But if
is
it was
low.
that easy with that executive action, why not do it in 2022, 2023?
Because we were working with Congress and hoping that actually we could have a long-term fix to the problem instead of a short-term fix.
You couldn't have done one and both at the same time?
Well, here's the thing. We have to understand that ultimately this problem is going to be fixed through congressional action. Congress has the authority and the purse.
Do you wish you'd done those?
But when you think about it, though, why you just didn't do it while working with Congress? Why allow things open to tell Congress, hey, do something here? That's just stupid. It's stupid.
Those executive orders in 2022, 2023.
I think we did the right thing.
Now, she was then asked about the border wall.
Let's talk about this compromise bill that you want to pass if you're elected. You said that's going to be a priority. It includes $650 million in funding for the border wall. That's something Republicans wanted. That was part of the compromise. Under Donald Trump, you criticized the wall more than 50 times. You called it stupid, useless, and a medieval vanity project. Is a border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall. So remember, Donald Trump said Mexico would pay for it? Come on, they didn't.
But you're agreeing to a bill that would earmark $650 million to continue building that wall.
I pledge that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill to further strengthen and secure our border.
To fix the problem, you're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I am not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense because he actually didn't do much of anything.
But you do want to build some wall.
Kevin, there's a lot there. What's your take?
She missed the opportunity yet again. This thing is killing her, this border wall thing. What she should have come out and said, and she had that opportunity on Fox with Brett, is say, look, in the early days of our administration, we allowed a lot of people into the country that we didn't know much about. I own it. I take responsibility for it, and I've learned a lot from it. And for that mother who lost a daughter, I feel your pain, and I believe that it has motivated me beyond anything in my life to make sure this never happens again. But no, she doesn't do that. It's more of this verbal salad. She won't take responsibility. And when I have this discussion with her advocates and her proxies, even they admit behind closed doors, I don't feel any compassion on this issue from her. It's a huge mistake. Now, if I were advising her right now, I'd say, listen, stop with this. Own it. Show you care. Tell people it's hurt you. It'll never happen again. You were the border czar, yes or no, or whatever you want to call it, and you failed on that mandate, but you know exactly what you did wrong. You're going to fix it. Can you imagine if she did that, how this would help her at this point? People could connect with her. There's no connection. There's no authenticity. I'm very critical of this particular issue for her. I really feel she just won't take responsibility, and it's killing her.
That criticism so well-founded and equally launched as well, Kayleigh, toward President Biden, right? It's sort of, we've heard that same, it's not a gripe, it's a very accurate notation of the lack of empathy, the lack of human quality. I can't figure out, Kayleigh, what I'm more shocked and disheartened by with Kamala. Is it the fact that she's so woefully inadequate with her policies, with understanding, or that she's so woefully unprepared, seemingly, for any question, for any scenario, when she's been the one our tax dollars have been paying as vice president for the last 3.5 years? I am shocked at how little she seems to know, how little experience she clearly draws from.
That's the thing, though, with the Democrats, is that it's not shocking that how little they know about anything. They don't know nothing, all right? They don't know how to run a government. That's why, California is falling apart. You can see how bad the U.S. government is as a whole. They make terrible decisions. You look at SEC going after all kinds of shit. I mean, you name it. Terrible decision. Going to Ukraine, going to Israel, to Gaza, or help fund them. Not going to, but help fund them. Right? You pull out of Afghanistan awkwardly. I mean, a lot of bad decisions. Terrible. And meanwhile, you caused inflation. You inflated the $1 trillion deficit spending. I mean, the list goes on and on. The illegal flow of entry of people, black Americans are being replaced by these illegals, and it's just bad. It's so bad. And I don't know why you guys can't see how bad Democrats really are. They're terrible. And you guys got to wake up, because you know what? When I was in college, I took the blue pill too, right? The blue pill with Democrats, because it's an indoctrination camp, right? In college, man, they indoctrinate you. But then once you start working, once you start living, once you start having responsibilities, paying bills, and all that stuff, working job, paying bills, you start to realize, man, the policies, the decisions that Democrats make is so bad. All right? And so I think when you really look and see what Republicans are about and what they do and what they represent, they are for the working class. And they are about Americans. That's the biggest thing, is that we're losing America, and we need America to come back. And that's the problem here. So I just wanted to bring that out to you guys, that, again, it's another fail from Kamala. And it's just one of those things that if you guys don't see in front of your eyes how bad she really is. It's so evident. All the information out there, man, I don't know what to say about you guys. All I got to say is you'll get what you're voted for if she wins. That's my latest here. I just wanted to share this with you guys. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, and tune in on the daily as I have daily content. I like to talk about anything and everything. I know it's been kind of geared towards the presidential election lately, but it's hard not to talk about it, because it's just stupid shit, especially Democrats, Anyhow, thanks. I'll see you next one.